And we are back live once again. Wonderful. For all of you people who are in the live chat, I already see 5 or 6 of you are in the live chat. If you would be so kind as to leave a comment in the chat, that would be absolutely wonderful. I can already see, they may not be popping up on my computer, but I can already see you guys popping up right there, as you can see. So I already got some of those comments kind of popping up. That's awesome. Okay. There are several things that I want to talk about today that we are going to do, but the first and foremost thing that I want to talk about is final exams. I still have not been given confirmation just yet as to when all the Algebra 2 students, let's say, are going to be taking the final exam. The seniors will most definitely be taking their exam during senior exam week. But for those non-seniors, I'm still waiting confirmation as to how to handle that situation. Now, I'm actually going to turn the computer screen just a little bit so the people in the live stream can see what I'm pointing to. But I'm going to walk over here to this calendar. I'm just going to show you what I kind of find out about senior exams. So just for the sake of argument, if you guys look at this week right here, the week of June 7th, senior exams are split up Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. This is a full week right here. And the reason why they did that was because Wednesday was that scheduled half day that you guys normally have. So they have the 1A, 2A, 1B, 2B exams for seniors on these 2 days. And then if we in this class were to take our exams during the senior exam week, then we wouldn't take it until Friday, June 11th. So just so you guys are all aware, Friday, June 11th would be the earliest that we might take the final exam if we are allowed to take it early with seniors. Otherwise, if the seniors take it on that day, everyone else would take their final exam on Thursday, the 17th. Just so you guys are aware, this is the schedule that they sent me. Seems strange and weird. And then you still have school on the, you know, that day where you go to like every single class, like for like 15 minutes or something? Yeah, that's that. I don't know why they have it. I have no stinking clue, but that's that day. That's actually graduation day as well. So, yay. Once I get confirmation as to whether or not I can give you, all of you, the exams, when I give the seniors their exams, I will let you know as soon as possible. Just waiting to hear back from a few people, and then we'll kind of go from there. Yay. Okay. As for today, my goal is to wrap up rationals, is to wrap up the chapter that we have been covering on rationals. I do have a quizzes that I would like all of you online and in person here to take. And I would like to review several questions from that quizzes in preparation for a major assessment that I would like to assign you. I am going to be assigning this major. I am going to be assigning this a major via Edulastic that you would be able to knock out for me. I'm going to be assigning it probably later today or at some point early tomorrow. But you will have plenty of time to get that thing done. And then after we do that, we'll be able to jump into the last chapter. It's a shorter chapter that we would be covering in Algebra 2. And then we'll see where we go from there. So if you would, you people in the chat, thank you for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comments that I've seen so far. If anyone else has not left a comment in the chat, please make sure that you do so. For those of you that are here with me present today, I'm going to ask for those Chromebooks to be out, to be open, to be logged on, so we can knock out this particular quizzes. And for those of you that are on the online chat, I will have the code for you in just a moment. All right. There's the code. Now, again, this is a practice. But I would like you to try your best on this practice, as I'm going to be reviewing the questions that gave us the most trouble in preparation for this major assessment that I am going to be assigning you. Kind of figure this stuff out, see how it goes. You know what I found out today? about your Chromebooks. Do you guys know what's going to happen to the Chromebooks when you graduate? No? Cool. I was told not for seniors this year, but for juniors moving forward, when you graduate, they want it to be where you just take the Chromebook with you. Yeah. Not weird. Huh. Yeah. Not for seniors this year, I think. But for juniors moving forward, junior, sophomores, freshmen, etc., you'll be assigned, basically the goal is you'll be assigned a Chromebook freshman year. You'll keep it all 4 years, and then you'll graduate and take it with you. Yeah. Not weird. It's kind of cool, actually. Because, I mean, think about it, like Chromebooks, like how much time has to go by before the Chromebook is out of date? Yeah, exactly. So they get you a new Chromebook freshman year. You take it for 4 years through high school, and then boom, you graduate and you get to take it because they're just going to replace it anyway. Let's get logged on. I see some online people logging on. Thank you for that. The people here are still getting their Chromebooks. They're logging on to their Chromebooks here. Give them a few moments to kind of get in. I think that's a cool idea, though, you know? And then what I was told is that they would, what did he say exactly? He said something like they would do something through IT where they would basically like, not necessarily wipe the Chromebook, but like remove all of the Barnegat restrictions on the Chromebook once you graduate. Like once July 1 hits, like someone will press a button and then boom, it'll be like a regular Chromebook that you can like turn on and register and do whatever you need to do with it, you know? Yes, exactly. As instead of being restricted from everything, you know. But that's once you graduate, and then they won't have a responsibility to keep innocent eyes away from online material. I don't know how that stuff works. I should probably type this in. I mean, I know you guys in the chat can see it already, but I'm going to type this into the chat. Please make sure that you're logging on. 564-544. This is just a practice quizzes. This is just a practice quizzes, but it is in preparation for the Edulastic major that I'm going to be assigning you on this chapter, so that we can move on to the end of what we need to in Algebra 2. It's going to be wonderful. I also do, I kind of want to do that project. I do have a project for this chapter, but I'm debating as to whether or not I want to do that in addition to the Edulastic major. It's kind of a shorter project, but people do tend to, I'm going to make a note for myself to kind of look into that to see if I have the time to assign that. Clearly not today, but it's one of those things. Let's see. On rationals. I'll look into that another time. There we go. Cool. Okay. If you have not logged on, please make sure that you do so once I click this thing. Once I click to start this thing, the code will be at the top of the screen. Otherwise, for those of you online, the code is right there in the chat. 564-544. I'm gonna go click start. Obviously, you'll have your calculators ready to go if need be. But also, if you need some scratch paper, you also have that or can get that. But here we go. Let's get started. Log on if you haven't. Remember, this is just a practice. Take your time. For those of you that are still finishing up this quizzes, I'm going to give you another minute or so to get these questions done. All right, I am going to end the quizzes there so we can begin going over certain problems. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be handling this in terms of a review. I'm going to end the thing there and there. There we go. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, since I'm going to be going over certain questions, I would like you to put these in a secure location. So if you would be so kind, I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. Now, here is my game plan for the rest of this time. I want to take roughly a half an hour till just before 12 o'clock to review said questions that gave us the most difficulty on this particular quizzes. I would like to write responses into our notes so that you have something to study from, of course, and something to use as reference. Oh, these were the toughest ones, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Then at 12 o'clock begins our quote unquote intervention period. Now, the intervention period last Thursday. I assigned you a Google Google Classroom assignment that contained a Google Sheet, or a Google Slides. I'm sorry, whatever. And it was entitled. If I can actually get back to this, what is going on here? This is weird. It's not letting me get on there. There it is. It was entitled 5/13 Remediation Enrichment. Now, I said that we were going to be working on those Google Slides on Thursday, and we were going to be working on those Google Slides today, and that is what you will be doing for the last 20 some odd minutes of this class period. So I would like to review some questions from this quizzes. Number one, that you're going to put into your notes, and then at about noonish, we are going to continue working through that remediation assignment for that intervention period that we have. So let me sort these by accuracy. Oh, there we go. Get down to the bottom there. And let me title this. Zoom out. Come on, little notes that could. Today is the 17th. And I am going to call this, I'll call this rational review. Rational review. I want to try to use a different marker in a moment. See if this one kind of works better for me. I guess we'll see what happens. This one. There we go. Okay, here we go. I like that question. I want to see. Yes, that question can be better answered using this question. Okay, so I'm going to write something down for you for this on the quizzes review. I'm going to write the problem down first, and then I'll explain what in the heck is going on with this particular problem. There we go. There we go. Zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. There are two questions that gave you the most trouble on this quizzes that can be answered by this particular question from the quizzes. This question on the quizzes was asking for you to identify various pieces of information where it comes to asymptotes or holes or x-intercepts or whatever. So what I would like to do is I would like to go through this particular function and cover every single piece of that information, holes, asymptotes, x-intercepts, and see if we can't answer the questions from that quizzes. If I see a problem like this, the first thing that I would need to do, if I had to identify those graphing pieces, the first thing that I would do would be to factor. I need to factor. I absolutely need to factor. And the first thing that I see to factor is actually a GCF of 2 out of the top of that fraction. I take out a 2 as a greatest common factor out of the top of that fraction. Yes, I am going to be factoring the quadratics in just a moment, but it is important that you take out that 2 as a greatest common factor, because it will help you to factor much easier if you take it out first. From there, this fraction would factor into the following. The top set of parentheses would factor into an x minus 1, x plus 1. The top of that parenthesis, or the top set of parentheses, the numerator, I should say, factors into that because it's two numbers that multiply to -1 and add up to 0. It's one that we've done a million times before. And on the bottom of that fraction, it factors into an x minus 3, x minus 1, because they are two numbers that multiply to +3 and add up to -4. Now, I'm not going to touch the quizzes just yet, because the quizzes is asking me for various pieces of information. But the first thing that I want to identify in terms of those pieces of information are these two terms right here that I'm crossing out. Those two terms, once you have factored, cancel each other out. Everything is being separated by multiplication division. So those two terms would indeed cancel. By definition, this is where a whole comes from. This is where a whole comes from. When something like this cancels, it creates a hole in the graph. The location of that hole, by the definitions that I've given you in the past, well, you take what canceled out, in this case an x minus 1, you set it equal to 0 and solve. If you take that x minus 1 and you set it equal to 0 and you solve, then you can identify a hole at x equals +1. There is a hole at x equals +1 by our definition, because that is what canceled out. Next, I can identify a vertical asymptote. I can identify a vertical asymptote by taking the denominator, the bottom of that fraction, the resulting portion of that fraction, I should say, set that equal to 0 and solve. You would get a vertical asymptote at x equals +3. If you set the numerator equal to 0 and solve, that would help you to find the x-intercept, which in this case, x plus 1 equals 0. You would have an x-intercept at -1. These are three pieces of information that you can immediately identify by factoring the problem. If anything cancels, it creates a hole. Thus, set the term that canceled equal to 0 and solve. There's where the hole is. You set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. You get vertical asymptotes. You set the numerator equal to 0 and solve. You get x-intercepts. Those three pieces of information can be identified. If nothing cancels, then there's no holes. If there's nothing to solve for on the bottom of the fraction, then there's no vertical asymptotes. If there's nothing to solve for on the top of the fraction, then there are no x-intercepts. The only thing that we haven't identified has been the horizontal asymptote. You identify the horizontal asymptote in one of three ways. And those three ways, those three cases, all depend upon the degree of the original problem. And I circled this here. I'm going to draw your attention here for the horizontal asymptote. If you compare the degrees, if the bottom one is larger, then your horizontal asymptote is y equals 0. If the top one is larger, then you don't have a horizontal asymptote. You actually have what is known as an oblique or a slant asymptote. But if they are equal, If they are equal, then you take the leading coefficients and divide them. And that is where your horizontal asymptote will take place. Now, after I write this down, I'm going to go back to the quizzes to confirm what the correct answers were for this particular problem and for that last problem that gave us the most trouble. See how that goes. So let's see. Click. The last problem on this quizzes was, how do you know if the factor in the denominator is a whole instead of a vertical asymptote? It's a whole if it cancels out. It's a whole if it cancels out. That is how you know if you have a whole or not. Then, this other question on the quizzes right here, this was a select all that apply. I'm very happy. 8 of you did select the correct horizontal asymptote. Good for you. And it looks like 3 of you picked there was a whole at +1, at 1 comma whatever. The reason why the first one was wrong, they say there's the first choice that they gave you on the quizzes was a vertical asymptote at x equals -3 and +1. That is not the case, though. There's a vertical asymptote only at +3. And then the last one said that there's x-intercepts at 3 and 1, whereas we were able to identify an x-intercept at -1. That's why those 2 choices were wrong. Let me show you what this looks like in the calculator. Let me show you what this looks like in the calculator real quick. Parentheses, 2x squared minus 2 divided by x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay, there we go. Plugged in correctly. Let's graph it. I mean, there's a few things to notice. First, hopefully it's fairly obvious that the horizontal asymptote exists. But not only does the horizontal asymptote exist, but it's a little bit elevated. It's at it's above 1. You could even, if you wanted to, draw, kind of mime your hand over the top, but you could see right here, that's where the horizontal asymptote was. It's at y equals 2. The vertical asymptote, I can't actually put that on this graph. I'd have to use Desmos to do that. But the vertical asymptote should fairly obviously be right about here in the positive direction, +3. The x-intercept, you could see that easily if you were able to type in a number, -1. You can see that thing blinking right there is the x-intercept. And there is a whole at +1. So if I type in +1 and hit enter, you can see that the y value is blank because there is no y value when x is equal to +1. Let's see. So here we go. This is another one of those toughest questions. But I want you to take note of something. Look at the average time spent on this question. Everything now, out of all the people who took it, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There were 9 people who did this question, and all 9 people, it was evenly distributed amongst all 4 questions. That leads me to believe, with the time spent, that people were just kind of skimming and just picked one. Horizontal asymptote, you have to compare the degrees because there are 3 cases. You have to compare the degree of the numerator versus the denominator. You have to. Let's see what else got us here. Oh, we'll do that one. Absolutely, we'll do that one. I'm going to write this one into my notes as well. I am absolutely going to do this one. 1 over n minus 8 minus 1 equals 7 over n minus 8. I'm going to show you this one. Oh, not there. There we go. There's the problem right there. I'll give you an opportunity to write that one down. This is the problem that I think we only got like 33% success rate on this one. Doing a problem like this, I am going to use strategy number 2 to solve this thing out. I am going to multiply through by n minus 8 in order to destroy all of my fractions. I'm going to multiply through by n minus 8 to destroy all of my fractions. Distribute, distribute, distribute. If I distribute it to all 3 terms, in the first one they cancel, leaving me with a 1. In the second one, nothing cancels, so I am going to have to do something like that. And in the third one, it cancels, leaving you with a 7. You need to distribute this -1 back into the problem. It should become 1 minus n plus 8 equals 7. That 1 and 8 become a 9. Subtract the 9 to get a -2. Divide by -1 to get the final answer. These are the types of problems where you can't just like guess an answer. These are the types of problems that you do have to noodle out. You have to be very careful with them. I want to check the quizzes in a moment and see what you guys got on this one, and then I'll kind of flip back to this just to see where people could have possibly made those mistakes. Let me flip over here. What did you all pick on this one? A lot of people picked 1/2. Huh. Well, 3 people picked 1/2. Somebody picked a 1. A couple of you picked a 1. Huh, this is interesting. See, these are the types of problems that, again, either people are guessing because they don't want to go through it, or I don't know. There are multiple ways of doing it, but the way that I showed you here is probably the absolute easiest, straightforward way of doing it. Let me see another one on that quizzes. Let's see. This one, state the restrictions. Interesting. Oh, I see. Yeah. We haven't actually talked about restrictions, but it's just basically what can you not plug into the denominator? What can you not plug into the denominators? And then there's this one. About half of you got that one right. Nice. Find least common denominator. I want to do at least one more, but I'm just kind of seeing what you guys spent the time on. Interesting. More than half of you got that one right. That was nice. Good. Simplifying that one, identifying the asymptotes. Where's there a hole in the graph? And then up here, these are the better ones, the ones that you guys did a lot easier, a lot faster, yeah, there we go. Nice. Everyone got that one correct. Good, 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 good. Okay. So the last question that I'm going to do then is this one, number 17. There we go. That's the last one that I'll do with you before I set you off on the intervention period. I'll switch over my camera in a moment so you can see it. Chatow. Oh, frozen. Chatow. There we go. It's the last problem I want to do, and then I'm going to set you guys off on this intervention period. This problem is better off being used with strategy 1, butterfly. You have a single fraction equal to a single fraction, and they're telling you to solve, meaning your best option in my opinion, is to butterfly this problem out to destroy those fractions. If you butterfly this out, of course, you can skip a step if need be, but you end up with this calculation. On the right side, it just becomes a 9x on the right side. Be careful with how you multiply that. On the left side, I am going to distribute. Then it just turns into just a bunch of, okay, I got to move junk around here. I'm going to subtract the 9x. I'm going to subtract the 4. And I just got to divide by 11. And I end up with such an answer. Oh, such an answer. But that's how this thing plays out. I want to see what you guys chose on the quizzes in a moment. I'm going to leave this up here for just another moment. Because this one, there's no guessing on this one. You can't just plug in a number and guess it. It's such a weird fraction. Let me see what y'all picked. Oh, so, okay, interesting. 4 people picked the correct answer, and then everyone else picked no solution. What's even more interesting to me is the amount of time spent on it on average. 6 seconds. 6 seconds. This is the type of problem where you guys should immediately be able to do something like this. Butterfly that thing out, turn it into an Algebra 1 problem. Very interesting. Again, on the Edge Elastic major that I am going to be assigning you on this, yes, there are some multiple choice, but there are a lot of fill in the blanks. So guessing may not be an option for that. Okay. The time is 11:50. What I would like you guys to do, I would like you to continue working on this particular assignment. This is the remediation enrichment from last Thursday. I said you were going to be working on this thing on Thursday, but then I wasn't going to make it due until Tuesday, tomorrow morning. There are a few videos to watch, which hopefully you did already take the time to work on that in class on Thursday. But I am giving you a solid chunk of time right now. I'm talking to everyone here. I'm talking to everyone online. I'm giving you a solid chunk of time right now to continue working on this and hopefully complete it before you leave today. Now, if you don't end up completing it before the end of this class period, it's not due until tomorrow morning. But you have the time right now to get it done. Please do not waste it. So you have until 12/22, which is the end of this particular class period, to work on this. I will be available for questions if need be. For those of you that are online, I will have the chat open at my desk. So if you do have any questions, you can either email me or comment in the chat. That would be wonderful, but let us get to work. Yeah. You drop that thing like 3 times a day. Hopefully in the next school year, we'll be done with these, because restrictions are being lifted everywhere. You know. Here, you want to. I'll show you something here. I'll show you a graph that is, what's the word? Encouraging. I have been keeping track of COVID statistics since August of 2020. These are statistics specifically for this region of New Jersey. only this region of New Jersey. Okay. Here is the case rate graph. The case rate graph, which you can see there's been a large dip after March 27th. After March 27th, there was a large dip downwards in the case rate. In fact, the case rate has dipped so far down that it is back at a level from the beginning of October. We haven't been this low since the beginning of October. No, the reports come out once a week. Oh, okay. It's a report that is generated by the New Jersey Department of Health. And they have 6 regions within New Jersey that they keep track of 3 specific statistics. Case rate, COVID-like illness rate, and positivity rate. And I only keep track of our region because that's all that I really care about, you know. So then the percent CLI, which is the COVID-like illness, again, huge dip after the end of March. In fact, the peak of all of these graphs was January. Really? Yeah, January was the most dangerous time. Everyone did go out. Yeah. You really think nobody's going out because it's cold? Everyone went for Christmas dinners and getting together with family and traveling because of the holidays. Nobody paid attention to the restrictions. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say nobody. There were people who clearly did. And then this one right here, this is like the sharpest dip. This is the positivity rate. Basically, these 3 categories determined whether or not we needed to go fully virtual as a school. These 3 categories had scores in which if the score averaged a 4, we needed to be shut down no matter what. If the score reached a 3, we needed to have like extra restrictions, but then we had the option to shut down. We started the year out as a 2, which is why when we started the year, remember we didn't have any of these like dividers. And then once we hit a 3, once we came back 5 days a week, they quickly were like, okay, we need dividers. We reached up to a 3. It was bad. November, December, January was the worst. Yeah, 4 is the highest. 4 is we shut down. 4, here, I'll show you. Hold on. Here. No. Here's the weekly Cali report. The last one that came out May 8th. They come out once a week on a Thursday. This is when we shut down last March. That's when we shut down last March when we were in the red. This was the end of the school year. We finally reached yellow. This was the beginning of September. We were actually in green. And then slowly we moved back into yellow. And then we moved into orange. And we were in orange for a long time. And we finally got out of orange in the middle of April. That's for the whole state. You know, our region, the Central East region, is like roughly right here. Ocean County and like a couple of parts of other counties and stuff like that. So I've been keeping track of this since August because I'm a stats guy. So my hope is that by the time September rolls around again, we will reach, I'm going to put this in quotes, herd immunity. You know, hopefully. We'll see what happens. Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. Tell me if the number reached 800. Okay. Yeah. What was the number? 754. Damn. Trying to keep ahead of everyone else. That's not us. Yay, we did it. Like I said, pay attention to Google Classroom. I'm going to be posting stuff. That is all. See you guys. Bye-bye. Have a good one. You too. See ya.